Welcome to the Daily Financial News Roundup. We have a jam-packed show for you today.
Yeah, definitely a lot to cover. From trade wars getting even hotter, big moves in energy and tech. Should be interesting.
Absolutely. Well, let's just get right into it, huh?
Sure. Let's kick things off with this trade war between the U.S. and China.
Right.
Seems like it's heating up again. President Trump, he just imposed a 10% tariff on everything.
Everything.
All that's from China. Yeah, everything.
Yeah. Okay, so this is pretty big because we're not talking about like a handful of products here, right? It's literally every single thing.
Exactly.
Everything.
So how is China responding to this?
Well, they're not just sitting back. They're retaliating. They've got their own list of tariffs targeted at some key U.S. exports like coal, oil, and gas. Agricultural machinery, too.
Oh, wow.
And even some vehicles are included in there. It's a bit of a tit for tat, you know?
Right.
And this is causing a lot of uncertainty in the global markets.
Yeah, for sure.
Businesses are getting nervous. We're seeing the impacts already. Like, take Shakeups, for example. Shakeups.
They make tights, a Canadian company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had to temporarily lay off a big chunk of their workforce.
Oh, no.
Like 40%.
Wow.
Because of these tariffs, they're worried about the impact. You know, it's a mess.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Definitely some far-reaching consequences with this trade war. All right, let's switch gears a bit and look at what's going on in the energy sector.
Okay. Yeah.
We've got this Norwegian energy giant,
Equinor. Right.
They're actually cutting their renewable energy investments by a lot.
Yeah.
Like half over the next 2 years. But here's the thing. They're boosting oil and gas production.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting move for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, their CEO, Shakeups, he's saying the energy transition, it's just not happening as fast as they thought. Plus, the costs of renewables are rising.
Right.
And they're having a hard time getting those long-term contracts from customers for renewables, you know? It looks like this might actually be a trend we're seeing, not just with Equinor. You've got companies like Shell, BP. They're also kind of scaling back on their renewable energy plans.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well, this is where it gets even more interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Equinor, they're moving forward with this controversial project, developing the Rosebank oil field. It's in the North Sea.
Oh, right.
This project has faced legal challenges. UK officials are opposed to it.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that, including
Ed Miliband.
Ed Miliband, right? The energy secretary.
Yep.
Wow.
So they're really pushing ahead with this despite, all of this opposition.
It seems like it. I guess they're saying it's important for Europe to have its own oil and gas so they don't have to rely on imports,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But it really shows the struggle, between trying to secure energy now and also planning for the future.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, well, let's talk about shifting priorities. And this time, we're going to look at corporate America. Google has joined, a growing list of companies who are abandoning their diversity, equity, and inclusion.
DEI.
DEI hiring goals.
Yes. It's a trend, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're following the likes of Meta, Amazon, even Pepsi and McDonald's. Walmart, too.
Really?
Yeah. It seems like this might be influenced by the political climate. President Trump, he's been pretty outspoken about his criticism of DEI.
Yeah.
He's even trying to get rid of those initiatives from government agencies. But, it's worth pointing out that not every company is on board with this. Like
Right.
Apple, they're sticking with their DEI goals.
Interesting. So it's a bit of a mixed bag then.
Yeah, it is. It'll be interesting to see what happens with it all long term.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go back to the trade war for a second.
Sure.
Because China's not just taking these U.S. tariffs sitting down.
No.
They filed a complaint with the World Trade Organization.
The WTO.
Yeah.
Right.
They're basically saying that the U.S. tariffs are discriminatory and protectionist, breaking international trade rules.
Yeah, a lot of experts think that China has a pretty good case, But there's
Yeah.
the WTO's system for settling disputes, it's kind of paralyzed right now because of a bunch of roadblocks. So it's unlikely that China will actually get a ruling in its favor anytime soon.
So this is going to drag on.
Seems like it, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the race for AI dominance.
The global AI race, yeah.
The Artificial Intelligence Action Summit. It's
Oh.
happening in Paris.
Right.
Should be a pretty major event. World leaders, CEOs, top experts in AI, they'll all be there. What do you think?
Yeah, it should be interesting for sure. There's this buzz about China and their entry into the AI arena. DeepSeek, have you heard of it?
DeepSeek, no.
It's this low cost but really effective AI assistant.
Right.
And It's causing quite a stir, really challenging the U.S. companies that are, dominating the AI field right now.
Interesting. Is this DeepSeek going to be at the summit?
Well, it's possible. The creator, Liang Wenfeng, he might be there.
Okay.
He's been pretty vocal about China needing to change their approach to AI.
Oh, how so?
He says they're too focused on profits, and not enough on really building a strong AI ecosystem. It's like a direct challenge to companies like, well, NVIDIA.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about this. Google's parent company,
Alphabet,
right?
Yeah.
They just lifted their ban on using AI for weapons development.
Yeah, it's pretty controversial.
Yeah, it is.
They took out a section from their AI guidelines, the part that said they wouldn't use their technology for weapons or surveillance.
Mm-hmm.
Human Rights Watch, they're not happy about this. They're saying it's a really bad idea.
Right.
It's risky.
Yeah.
Especially on the battlefield where you have, life and death decisions.
Of course. Yeah.
It's kind of bringing back memories of that whole Project Maven thing back in 2018, you remember?
Oh, yeah. Right.
When Google was working with the Pentagon on AI, and then they got all this backlash from their employees.
And they ended up dropping the project.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay, so this is a big deal. A new phase, maybe, in the development of AI.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Well, let's move on to a bit of good news.
Oh, good.
The U.S. Postal Service. They're starting to accept packages again from mainland China and Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. They stopped, right?
Yeah, they temporarily suspended the service because of all the changes with the import taxes.
Right. The de minimis exemption.
Yes.
It used to be that if a package was low value, it could come into the U.S. without any taxes.
Right.
Chinese companies like Shine and Temu, they really took advantage of that loophole,
Oh, for sure.
Offered super cheap stuff to U.S. shoppers.
Right.
So now that this exemption is gone, things might change.
Yeah.
Prices might go up for those Chinese retailers. And it could be a good thing for U.S. businesses that were struggling to keep up,
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
Let's talk about ArcelorMittal.
ArcelorMittal.
Yeah, the steel and mining giant. They've just had some pretty good results for 2024.
Wow, impressive in this economy.
Oh, I know, right? It shows they're resilient.
Definitely. So what are they focusing on?
Well, they're really big on safety improvements,
Mm,
which is always a good thing.
absolutely.
And they're giving back to their shareholders
Okay. How so?
with cash.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a positive sign for investors. And they're making some strategic investments for growth, particularly in markets like Brazil, India, and the U.S.
Smart. Yeah. Good places to be, for sure.
Right. And get this, they're building a new electric steel facility in Alabama.
Really?
Yeah. They want to meet that rising demand for electric vehicle components.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
And to support all of this, they're boosting iron ore production in Liberia.
Wow. They're not messing around. But are they facing any challenges?
Well, yeah, they are having some trouble in Europe with their decarbonization plan.
Decarbonization.
Right.
Okay.
They're saying they need more support from policies there. It's not enough right now. It's hard to make that transition to cleaner steel production.
Yeah, I bet.
So even the giants face hurdles.
Right. Sure.
All right. Ready for a story that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction?
Oh, yeah. Hit me.
Tesla. They're ramping up production of their humanoid robot, Optimus.
Optimus.
Yeah. They're on a hiring spree, looking for all these engineers and technicians to help get this thing moving faster.
Wow. What's the plan for this robot?
Well, CEO Elon Musk, he's got this vision. He thinks Optimus could bring in trillions of dollars in the future.
Trillions.
Trillions. So this is a pretty big step for Tesla, moving beyond just cars and into robotics.
Yeah.
Bold move.
It is. It'll be, well, I'll be watching to see what happens with that.
Me too.
Okay.
More big moves. This time in the media world.
All right.
Disney's ESPN. They're planning to launch a streaming service for
Yeah.
live sports.
Really? Just for sports?
Just for sports. They want to get away from those traditional cable subscriptions and compete with, Netflix, Amazon.
We're both getting into live sports. Makes sense.
It's a sign of the times, right? People want more options, more flexibility.
Right. Streaming is king.
It is. Okay, let's talk about some investors. Value Act Capital. They're an activist hedge fund. Pretty well known for their, collaborative style, I guess you could say.
Okay, yeah.
They've been making some changes to their portfolio.
Interesting. What have they been up to?
Well, they've increased their holdings in a few companies, Meta, Visa, and Live Nation. Seems like they're feeling pretty good about those.
Bullish, yeah. Makes
Yeah.
sense. But what's interesting is they've completely exited Spotify.
Really?
Yeah. And that's despite the fact that Spotify's stock has been doing really well.
Wow. Okay, so people are definitely going to be watching what they do next.
Yeah, for sure. They're a bellwether.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, last one for now.
Right?
Microsoft. They're going all in on AI.
In a big way. Yeah.
Yeah, they're taking some of Google DeepMind's top people.
Poaching talent.
Yeah.
Wow.
They got some of the key folks who worked on Google's audio overviews feature for podcasts.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. And these folks are going to Microsoft's AI lab in Zurich.
Zurich, Switzerland.
Yeah.
And that's led by Mustafa Suleiman. He co-founded DeepMind.
Right. So this is a big move. They're really trying to compete with Google in AI.
Yeah, they're not messing around. It's a battle for the future of technology, really.
Yeah.
It's exciting and kind of scary all at the same time.
I know, right. Okay, well, that's all we have time for on this part of Daily Financial News Roundup.
Stay tuned for the next part where we'll dive deeper into some of these stories and see what else is happening in the world of finance and business. Welcome back.
Okay, so let's get back into it. Lots more to cover today.
Yeah, let's jump back into this global AI race. The summit in Paris, remember?
Right.
Everyone's really looking forward to it. All the big names will be there, world leaders, tech giants, AI experts. It's going to be huge.
So DeepSeek, the Chinese company, you think they'll make a big splash there?
Oh, I think so, yeah. They've really shaken things up with DeepSeek. Their AI assistant is really impressive, especially for the cost. And their creator, Liang Wenfeng, he might even be there. He's been pretty outspoken about China needing to change their approach. He thinks they're too focused on making a quick buck, instead of focusing on real innovation.
Interesting.
He wants them to build a stronger AI ecosystem. Like he points to NVIDIA, the U.S. chipmaker.
Wait.
They've benefited from having a robust ecosystem. He's basically saying that China can't just rely on Western technology anymore. They need to become a leader in AI.
It's a bold vision. All right, well, let's go back to Google's parent company. Alphabet, right. Remember their decision to lift the ban on using AI for weapons?
Yeah, it's a tough one. A lot of people are really worried about it.
Human Rights Watch, they're not happy about it at all.
No, they're not. They're saying that it could have really serious consequences. Imagine AI making decisions on the battlefield.
Oh, wow.
With people's lives at stake.
That's scary.
Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of that whole Project Maven thing back in 2018, when Google got in trouble for working with the Pentagon on AI.
Right. Their employees were really upset.
Exactly. And it seems like we might be going down that road again.
It's a conversation we need to be having as a society.
Absolutely. Technology is so powerful.
Right.
And we need to be really careful about how we use it.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. The U.S. Postal Service, they're accepting packages again from China and Hong Kong.
Oh, good. That was a mess.
It was.
I mean, they had to stop accepting packages because of all the changes with the import taxes.
The de minimis exemption.
Yeah. Before, if a package was worth less than a certain amount, it didn't have to pay any taxes.
Right.
Chinese companies like Shein, Temu, they totally took advantage of that, selling all this super cheap stuff.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So now that that's gone, well, it could change things. Prices might go up, which could help U.S. businesses that were having a hard time competing.
Interesting. Okay, let's talk about ArcelorMittal.
Yeah, the steel company.
They've had some pretty good results for 2024, considering, the economy and everything.
Quite impressive.
Yeah. They're really focusing on safety, which is good. And they're giving money back to their shareholders. Cash.
That's always good.
Right. And they're making smart investments, mostly in Brazil, India, and the U.S.
Yeah, those are good markets.
And get this, they're building a new factory in Alabama.
A factory? For what?
Electric steel.
Electric steel.
Yeah, they want to get in on the electric vehicle boom.
Makes sense.
To support all of this, they're also increasing their iron ore production in Liberia.
Wow, they're going all out.
But they're having some problems in Europe.
Oh, what kind of problems?
With their decarbonization plans.
Decarbonization, right. Trying to reduce their carbon footprint.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is. And they're saying that there just isn't enough support from governments in Europe for these initiatives. It's expensive.
Yeah.
It is. Okay. You ready for a story about robots?
Robots, always.
Tesla. Elon Musk. They're ramping up production of their humanoid robot.
The one he's been talking about. Optimus.
They're hiring like crazy. They want to get this thing into production fast.
And what's the plan for this robot?
Well, Musk thinks it could bring in trillions of dollars.
Trillions? Come on.
I know, it sounds crazy.
That's a lot of robots.
So this is a big move for Tesla. It shows that they're not just a car company anymore.
Right, they're a tech company.
Exactly. Okay, more big news. ESPN,
The sports channel?
they're launching their own streaming service just for sports.
Wow, interesting. So they're trying to ditch cable?
Yep. They want to compete with the big guys like Netflix and Amazon.
You're both getting into live sports, too.
Exactly.
It's the future.
It is. Okay, let's talk about some investors. Value Act Capital. They're an activist hedge fund, pretty well known for their collaborative approach.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of them.
They've been making some big moves with their portfolio. They've invested more heavily in Meta, Visa, and Live Nation.
Interesting, yeah.
But they've completely pulled out of Spotify.
Really? Even though Spotify's stock is doing well?
Yeah, it's a head scratcher. People are
Like
going to be
the-
watching them closely to see what they do next.
For sure. They're pretty influential.
Definitely. All right, last one for this part, Microsoft.
What are they up to?
They're really going after AI talent, specifically from Google DeepMind.
Ah, I see. Competition.
Yeah, big time. They've hired some of the top people from DeepMind, the folks who were behind Google's audio overviews feature for podcasts,
Right.
And they're going to be working at Microsoft's AI lab in Zurich.
Zurich. That's where Mustafa Suleiman is.
Exactly. He's the co-founder of DeepMind.
So Microsoft is serious about AI.
Oh, yeah. They want to take on Google.
It's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, that wraps up this part of Daily Financial News Roundup. Okay, we're back for the last part of the show. Still a lot to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. Let's circle back to the AI race for a minute. We talked about DeepSeek, the Chinese AI company. Well, their creator, Liang Wenfeng, he's got some pretty strong opinions about China's tech strategy.
Like what?
He thinks China's been way too focused on profits, short-term gains,
Right.
and that they haven't really put enough effort into real innovation.
So what does he want to see happen?
He's calling for a big change. He wants China to build a much stronger AI ecosystem. He points to NVIDIA, the U.S. chipmaker, as a good example.
Right.
They've done a great job of building an ecosystem around their products. Wenfeng's argument is that China can't just rely on Western tech anymore. They need to become a leader in AI, not just a follower.
It's a bold vision. It'll be interesting to see if they can pull it off.
Yeah, for sure. It shows you how ambitious they are.
All right, well, let's go back to Google and their decision to lift the ban on AI for weapons development.
Right, yeah.
It's a tough one. I mean, yeah, some people argue that AI could actually make warfare more precise and potentially reduce civilian casualties.
It's possible.
But then you have the other side, the folks who are really worried about what happens when you give machines the power to make life or death decisions.
Yeah, it's scary stuff.
It is.
Who's responsible when an AI system makes a mistake?
Right. It's a really complex issue with no easy answers.
Then it's a conversation we need to have.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to something a little less heavy.
Sure.
Crocs, the shoe company. They're in a bit of legal hot water.
What happened?
They're facing a class action lawsuit from investors.
Investors.
Yeah. The investors are saying that Crocs misled them about the performance of their HeyYDD brand.
Oh, right. They bought HeyYDD a while back.
Yeah, back in 2022. And it looked like a good deal at first.
Yeah, it did.
But then in their 2024 financial report, they said that HeyYDD revenues were way lower than expected.
Ooh.
And that caused their stock price to tank.
So the investors are feeling cheated.
Yeah, basically. It just goes to show how important transparency is in business. You have to be honest with your investors, even when the news is bad.
Definitely. Trust is everything.
All right, last story for today. Amazon. They're about to release a big upgrade to their Alexa voice assistant.
The one they're calling Remarkable Alexa.
That's the one. Supposedly, it's a lot smarter and more capable than the current version.
Oh, yeah, I read about that. It can handle multiple requests at the same time.
And it's supposed to be more proactive, like it anticipates what you need and helps you get things done.
Interesting.
But there's a catch.
What's the catch?
They're thinking about charging a monthly fee for it.
Really? A monthly fee for Alexa?
Yeah. The current version, Classic Alexa, they'll still be free. But it won't have all the fancy features of the new one.
So they're trying to make money off of Alexa now.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see if people are willing to pay for it.
I guess it depends how much better it is.
Yeah, that's the big question. Well, that wraps up our daily financial news roundup for today. We covered a lot of ground, from trade wars and AI to robots and lawsuits.
And everything in between.
Exactly. It just goes to show how dynamic and unpredictable the world of finance and business can be.
You never know what's going to happen next.
That's for sure. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for another roundup of the top financial news stories.